So, it would seem I am no longer washed up. I managed to get top 4 at the Toronto Regional Championships, my first top cut of a major event in almost 4 years. It is absolutely fantastic. I could not be more thrilled to have got that result. I've got a medal. I was not expecting to get a medal, not just at that tournament, but just at this point in my career, feeling like I was washed up. The fact that I got a medal at a regional championship is absolutely brilliant. And this is going to be kind of a team report on the team. I am going to withhold the EV spreads because I still have some tournaments that I'm going to be competing in, and it may well be this team, so I'm going to try and keep that slight advantage if I can keep the spreads. But most spreads will work on these teams. If you 2-5-2 them, it will be fine. They're not 2-5-2'd, but it will be still be fine for all the Pokemon. It will work absolutely fine. And it's a pretty cool team as well. I was working on it a reasonable amount leading up to Toronto. It started off basically with the Roaring Moon. Like, the Roaring Moon was absolutely the start of the team. I built a Regulation D team that hopefully you saw Barishaktos use in the Pokemon World Championships. That's what I would have brought to the World Championships had I managed to qualify, but I just fell short the previous season. It's looking pretty good this season so far. I'm over halfway to the invite. But yeah, the Roaring Moon back in Regulation D had Acrobatics and Terra Flying over Knockoff. And the Terra Poison, of course. Did have a Champao on the team as well, so that really helped out with the damage. But as soon as it was pointed out that Knockoff could replace Acrobatics on the Roaring Moon, that was absolutely fantastic for how I played the team. Because you didn't have to go for a Terra to be able to do damage. Like, Acrobatics is fine, but you need to Terra for it to actually be properly good. And Flying isn't actually a great defensive Terra for Roaring Moon. Poison is fantastic. So the fact that you free up your Terra to be a better defensive type is really, really good to start off with. Knockoff is great utility. On top of being very consistent damage, Knockoff is great utility, getting rid of all the items. Getting rid of a Choice Scarf so you don't need to Tailwind, so you can just attack her Scarf Landorus on the same turn that you've knocked it off, and all these fantastic things. Yeah, Knockoff was just a no-brainer over Acrobatics. I had a Breaking Swipe on that team as well, and Tailwind Protect, obviously. And the Breaking Swipe has been fantastic on Roaring Moon. I'm surprised we don't see Breaking Swipe Roaring Moon more than we do. It's brilliant. The format is more physical than special. So Breaking Swipe, being able to act like an Intimidate, absolutely fantastic. You get the booster energy, you get outspeed most things as well, so you're going to be able to set Tailwind before most things as well. I think this is better than Tornadus. Of course, people don't believe my opinions, even though they are correct, but people are still going to tend towards the Tornadus, because Prankster Tailwind, that will always go first before all the other Pokemon attack. This goes before 99% of them. That's good enough. Like, that's definitely good enough. And then you get way better bulk, better typing, as long as you're not against Fairy, but you just Terastallize. And you get a better utility than Tornadus. Tornadus can do all the fancy prankster stuff, but this is also great utility while doing consistent damage. That is the key word. Bleak Windstorm is a terrible move. Why would you want to click that move? I know Rain Dance and make it 100% accurate, and it is objectively the correct flying attack to use on Tornadus. Air Slash is good, but it's pretty weak. Hurricane is only good if rain is up. Bleak Windstorm is only good if rain is up, but a little bit better than Hurricane, so you should probably run that. This is 100% accurate. This is great utility while still doing good damage. So I just way prefer Roaring Moon. You can't be taunted by Tornadus, so you're fine against the mirror because you're a dark type, so you're absolutely sorted when that. If that happens, when you match Tailwind, Roaring Moon is faster because of the booster energy. In my opinion, Roaring Moon is just better than Tornadus. So, no one's going to believe me. That's fine. I'll keep using this Roaring Moon, and it will just continue to be absolutely fantastic. So, basically, Roaring Moon obviously sets up Tailwind. You probably want things to be able to make use of the Tailwind. Hence the team that I built around it. Some would call this a hyper-offense team. You are wrong. This is not a hyper-offense team. Hyper-offense is built to KO the opposing Pokemon before they can attack you because you are not bulky enough to be able to survive. There is a very reasonable amount of bulk on this team. Arcanine going to be able to intimidate all the physical attackers. Gholdengo has pretty good natural bulk, even though it's sacrificing it with a life orb, its natural bulk is still pretty good. Ogerpon, it's fine. Like, its bulk is fine, but it's helped out with the Arcanine and Roaring Moon. Assault Vest Thundurus can get very bulky. Hint, hint for the EV spread if you were curious, but it can get very bulky. Urshifu's fine. You probably need to patch up its special defense a bit, but overall, this team is not a hyper-offense team, in the slightest. To use hyper-offense, you need to KO the opposing Pokemon before you even get hit. And this team can absolutely take hits. It can defensively pivot. If you saw my match against Justin Tang, the round 4 of the Toronto Regional Championship, there was so much switching. And there was so many clutch survivals on so many of my Pokemon. Surviving in the red in single digits, 1 HP, 4 times across the tournament. It's a bit disappointing, I guess, that I'm not revealing the EV spreads, but yeah, but the spreads can be pretty clutch here, so long as you do actually bulk yourself out a reasonable amount. So yeah, Roaring Moon puts a load of heavy hitters around it, but it's not a high offense team in the slightest. So Banded Arcanine was one of the last Pokemon to join the team. It did used to be a Chi-Yu because the initial thought was, I'll put heavy hitters on the team. Chi-Yu is probably the heaviest hitter that we have in the game with its overheat that it can go for. But I felt a little bit weak to Roaring Moon, opposing Roaring Moons that are acrobatics, Dragon Dance kind of thing. So Arcanine was put on the team over the Chi-Yu to help with that matchup. It didn't help in the top 4, but there we go. I won the round 14 against Paul though, so it did help out somewhat. But yeah, Arcanine was, I think, way better for the team than the Chi-Yu was. The choice band, I don't think that's too surprising. Terra Blast Fairy is pretty standard. It's basically Terra Blast Fairy or Head Smash, and as you can probably tell, I do not like inconsistent moves, so I definitely went with the Terra Blast. On top of the fact that I put the Arcanine on to help out with Roaring Moon, like not just be a perfect answer, but to very much help out. And it just happened to be very much a perfect answer if you have Fairy Terra Blast, because you can obviously hit it when it's Dark and a Dragon. You can just Banded Rock Slide if it's gone for its Terra Flying as well. And you can Intimidate it so it's not as good against the team. So yeah, the Arcanine I think was a very, very good fit on the team, even though it came like a couple of days before the tournament. So yeah, I was very happy with the Arcanine, and I would not change to a different set. This is absolutely the correct set for the team. You could consider Banded Head Smash and then Terra Normal. That would be fine if you're brave. And it did just win the regional that in Toronto. Like Chupacross had Banded Head Smash. I can't do that. I've got what? Wild Bolt Storm as my accurate move, and I guess Rock Slide, and then the rest is 100% accurate. So that's what I'm going with. But if you want Banded Head Smash, that'll be absolutely fine. It will loco a load of things that this Arcanine can't. So feel free to consider that as well. But definitely, if you've got your Head Smash, Terra Normal for extreme speed for sure. Gholdengo. Life Orb was a last minute addition as well, because the Chi-Yu that I had was Life Orb, and then the Gholdengo therefore was Choice Specs, because then Choice Specs make it rain with a Life Orb Chi-Yu, that's KOing most of the field. So then the fact that the Chi-Yu changed, and I changed the Arcanine to Choice Band, meant the Life Orb was free, and I want to hit hard with this team if I can help it, so I went with the Life Orb on the Gholdengo because it freed up the ability to protect as well. So the spread that I used on the Gholdengo was a Choice Specs Gholdengo set. And then, because I changed last minute, like I said, the Arcanine a couple of days before the tournament, I had already made my Gholdengo in game, so I didn't want to re-EV it, so I just went with the Choice Spec spread with a Life Orb. But it was fine. It worked out perfectly fine. Even though it apparently needed to be a little bit faster, because Justin Tang's Gholdengo was faster than it should have been. But there we go. If you want to go with the Gholdengo, 252ing this would be perfectly fine. It's a Life Orb Gholdengo. You're sacrificing your HP with the Life Orb ticks, so 252ing it, perfectly fine. Like I said, I just went with a Choice Spec spread because it used to be Choice Specs, and then the Life Orb became free. Terra Steel, for sure. If you're Life Orb or Choice Specs, definitely Terra Steel. That's the most amount of damage you can do. You don't need to defensively Terrestrialize with a Life Orb. You're sacrificing your HP regardless, so even if you survive that attack, like if you train your Gholdengo to be able to survive a super effective hit, if you go for the Terrestrialization, you just get KO'd after the Life Orb recoil. So, my opinion, Terra Steel is absolutely the way to go, just to get that massive damage that is able to KO a lot of things as well. But if you do want to change the item to something more defensive, then feel free to change to Terra Dragon or Terra Water or whatever you want on the Gholdengo. This is probably the most 252able, yes, that is now a word, Pokemon on the team, so feel free to go with that. And I might fiddle about with the EV spread on the Gholdengo. The fact that I didn't need the max speed on the Gholdengo to still be successful, I might keep some bulk even though it is Life Orb, but yeah, like this was a Choice Spec spread that ended up just changing to Life Orb. So Ogerpon was very, very good. No one used Teal Mask at all. It was all Wellspring, and it was all half flame, and kind of a little bit of Cornerstone, but not really. And then there was no Wellspring and no half flame in the top cut. And then there was a Cornerstone in top 8, and then there was my Teal Mask in top 4. I very much hope that Teal Mask picks up usage after this. I hope that that was a very good showing that, like, Teal Mask Ogerpon is actually a very relevant meta threat. It may not be, quote-unquote, better than the Half Flame and the Wellspring, but it is absolutely viable in this meta. And if you need Defiant on your team, then that is going to be a very good pick. Like, I think I mentioned in one of my interviews on stream as well, that this was, like, the last change. Like, literally the day before, in the car ride back from Niagara Falls to, like, going back to sleep before the tournament, this used to be a Wellspring Ogerpon. And then we were just talking about, like, something got mentioned about Ogerpon, and, like, so I can't even remember what the thing was about Teal Mask Ogerpon, but something was said, and it was just a light bulb moment in my head that this is what the team needed. This is what, like, because something was missing from the team and I couldn't put my finger on it. And as soon as it was, oh, Defiant Ogerpon, that's it. Like, that was literally the perfect Pokemon that I had been looking for and hadn't considered. Because, like everyone else, no one was considering this. It was always Half-Flame or Wellspring. So now that I did consider it, and I tend to consider everything that I can, as you've seen in a lot of my teams previously, if you follow me at all, I do consider everything, and I just hadn't considered the Teal Mask Ogerpon. But so much makes sense about it, especially for this team. Like, it may not be the correct fit, like other Ogerpons will definitely be better fits than the Teal Mask on other teams. On this one, it was absolutely correct to be Teal Mask. So, some things that the Teal Mask Ogerpon has going for it, that the other ones don't have going for it, it can hold an item to start off with. This could very easily be Focus Sash, and I would somewhat recommend Focus Sash on Ogerpon. Because it is not the bulkiest of Pokemon, like I said, this is probably the frailest Pokemon on the team, but if you want to bulk it out, then you can get away with surviving some attacks that you probably shouldn't do otherwise. But the main part of the Ogerpon, the Teal Mask, is that you get the speed boost as well when you Terastallize. So that means that you can outspeed a Choice Scarf Urshifu. You can outspeed a Choice Scarf Landorus that has just intimidated you. So it's going to be able to outspeed some very, very relevant things with that speed boost that the others don't have access to. You have to Tailwind with the other Ogerpons. You have to Electro Web or Icy Wind or Thunder Wave or whatever. This does not. This will outspeed everything that is relevant in the meta that has not had its speed enhanced in some way. Booster Energy, Tailwind, or whatever. So this is very relevant as well. Defiant means that you can't be intimidated. The other Ogerpons can be intimidated. You lose your attack boost if you're the Half-Flame going for its Terastallization. You become very weak if you are an intimidated Ogerpon. This does not care. This benefits from Intimidate. Even if you could Intimidate, you're getting a 50% chance to get a critical hit with Ivy Cudgel. That's what the Razor Claw is for, and it's better than Scope Lens, shout out to William Tansley, because it was relevant in an actual tournament. In top 4 of a mid-season showdown, being Razor Claw over Scope Lens was relevant. It should be Razor Claw. So, yeah, Ivy Cudgel can do massive damage with a critical hit. It can do huge damage with a critical hit at +1 because you've been intimidated. So, highly recommend going for the critical hit Ogerpon if you are going for it. But Focus Sash is absolutely viable on this Ogerpon. And then basically, it's Ivy Cudgel and Spiky Shield for sure, obviously. But these last two moves were basically filler. These were just the last minute choice because, like I said, I threw this on very much last minute before the team. Before I put the team into Arcanine to finalize it. Luckily, I just kept the same EV spreads that I had from the Wellspring Ogerpon and just changed the moves and took off the items. So it was a very easy change to make in the game. But it was like, well, obviously Ivy Cudgel, Spiky Shield. What are the last two? I've got no time. I like Swords Dance. I had Swords Dance on my Wellspring. Let's just go with that. Therefore, I just want some sort of coverage to hit things that Ivy Cudgel wouldn't. Heatran is probably the most obvious one. Let's go for Stomping Tantrum. So these last two move slots could very much change to something else. I might consider something like Superpower to hit a Shucker Berry Heatran. Thank you very much, Paul Chewer. And this could be Follow Me for sure. There's obviously other great moves on Ogerpon, but these were just last minutes. Might as well hit Heatran, and I had Swords Dance previously, so these could change, but Ivy Cudgel, Spiky Shield, obviously, and I probably would either go with Razor Claw or the Focus Sash, but this is a very relevant meta threat. I really hope that it does pick up, because I never have an impact on a meta. Like, I'm always using my crazy teams, so if this does actually pick up because I was successful with it, that would be incredibly satisfying. So, yeah, Thundurus Therian. Also, a very, very viable Pokemon in this format, even though it has less than a percentage usage across the format so far. It was really good. Basically, it was put on the team because I wanted a special attacker, a strong special attacker, that was off the ground. And Thundurus Therian is the strongest special attacker that is off the ground. It's as simple as that. I guess it's tied with Vikavolt, but yeah, Thundurus Therian obviously was better than Vikavolt. But yeah, this was actually pretty solid throughout the tournament. I think this is probably the most changeable Pokemon on the team, were it to be changed. I'm not sure if I actually need to, but if other people wanted to experiment with this, then this is probably the most changeable slot. The Assault Vest was absolutely correct on the Thundurus, for sure, and you should bulk out your Thundurus. Like, again, hint hint for the EV spread, but it definitely should be bulked out rather than going max speed. But yeah, you get to do some pretty good damage, because 145 special attack is pretty strong. On top of getting the stab boost on your Terra Blast, Terra Flying, that's really good damage. This is actually also a perfect wall to Iron Hands, he says as he faces a Clear Amulet Ice Punch. Iron Hands in top 8, but if it's the standard Drain Punch, Wild Charge, In Heavy Slam, you are immune to the Wild Charge, and you resist the Drain Punch and the Heavy Slam. So you'll eventually beat it with the Grass Knot, and if you go for your Flying Terror Blast to hit it harder, then Heavy Slam hits you okay. But yeah, this is actually a pretty significant answer to Iron Hands, and a very good switch into Iron Hands as well. This was a very important defensive pivot in a lot of my matches, like being able to pivot into a Gholdengo that could have gone for a +2 Make It Rain. I was able to survive the +2 Shadow Balls that it was throwing at it because of the Assault Vest as well. I do recommend this Pokemon, but with the asterisk that this is probably the most changeable on the team. So yeah, it did perform pretty well throughout the tournament. I don't think I would change the not EV spread, the moveset at all. Like Thunderbolt, absolutely. Do not just have Wild Bolt Storm. Like I mentioned about Bleak Wind Storm. Absolutely have Thunderbolt. It's 100% accurate. Terra Blast, because Terra Flying, obviously, you get to go for a Terra Flying defensively as well, because Volt Absorb, you don't care about being a flying type now that would be weak to electric, losing your electric typing because of Volt Absorb, so it's great. Absolutely have that. Grass Knot in case you can't Terra and want to hit a ground type. And then this lot is interchangeable. And I just went, yeah, might as well be Volt Storm. I don't really need anything else. Volt Switch isn't really my kind of move, even though Volt Switch would absolutely fit in this slot. I think that objectively, if you were to use this Thundurus on this team specifically as well, the Wild Bolt Storm is correct. Even though it is incredibly inconsistent, and I didn't paralyze anything. I probably hit about like somewhere between 8 and 10 Wild Bolt Storms against Pokemon. There were no paralysis at all, so this move doesn't paralyze. It's a terrible move. Definitely consider changing it, but I think objectively it is correct for this Thundurus. Then finally, Urshifu. The only real interesting thing about this is the substitute over Aquajet, because I used Urshifu with substitute back in, well, whatever, I can't remember. I like to forget about Generation 8, but when I actually played Generation 8, the formats that didn't have Dynamax, can't remember which number it was, but don't care anymore. The substitute Urshifu was super busted in that. So it was just basically the logic of, well, now Urshifu is on the team, because I wanted slightly better answers to, what were some of the things? Chi-Yu was definitely one of them, and this was considered to be an Azumarill, because that's also a great answer to Chi-Yu. But then Urshifu can hit harder than Azumarill can because of Surging Strikes. So it was basically that, and but because it was put on the team, and I knew that Sub was super busted on Urshifu back in that series, can't remember, then I just went with that as well. And this was just a comfort pick of this is how I've run Urshifu very successfully. Again, bulked out. I don't think that's a spoiler, given that it survived absolutely clutchly, again, clutchly is now a word, the Sharp Beak boosted Bleak Wind Storm into a Chien-Pao Sucker Punch with 1 HP to seal the top 8 for me was absolutely brilliant. So yeah, definitely bulk out your Urshifu. That's correct if you're running substitute for sure. Splash Plate, again, like for the same reason that Razor Claw is better than Scope Lens, Splash Plate is better than Mystic Water, even though it objectively doesn't matter, even though it actually objectively does, because Razor Claw did come into play at one point. So yeah, then I probably wouldn't run a different item on this Urshifu, because the damage boost is significant. I was able to two-shot an Iron Hands with the Splash Plate that I wouldn't be able to otherwise. You can consider Aquajet, but Sub is super busted, and Sub should be used a lot more than it is. So, yeah. This is basically the team. Like I said, no EV spreads. I do apologize for that, but I still have some tournaments that I might be bringing this team to. It's currently the most successful thing that I've had in a long time, so it's still pretty likely that I would bring this team, / a slightly updated thing, like maybe the Ogerpon will be updated because it was thrown on last minute. Maybe the Thundurus changes to something else because, like I said, it's probably the most changeable, because the logic of that was just strong special attacker off the ground. There's a few of those. So, yeah, that's pretty much going to be it for the team report for this one. I am very, very happy with my result. Like I said, I thought I was washed up. It really started to feel like I've peaked. Now it's just all downhill from here. And this has been such a massive confidence booster. So I'm really, really happy with it. Like, shout outs to everyone that was supporting me as well. Like, I invaded North America and I was still getting so much support from all the Americans there. Extra special shout outs to the Simmons family, who I did stay with. Like, they offered the space in their Airbnb, and that worked out so well because I had a fantastic time with them. Going to Niagara Falls and then them supporting me across the tournament was brilliant. So thank you so much to them. And yeah, thank you to everyone that was supporting me when I was watching the team as well on the Twitch chat. I've watched it back now and seen very, very nice comments in there as well. That was very nice to see. And also a confidence booster on top of the fact that I managed to get the top 4. And I got a medal. I was not expecting to get a medal ever, and I've got one.